In the previous video, I was talking about how to play the game of God. The game of God, what is it? And I was talking that that's the laws of universe, how it's manifest in our being and everywhere. You cannot say what, even if you say with words, what's inside of it to manifest the law of universe. It's not easy to identify or detect or relate to. But if we play the way of God, the manifestation of how the God is playing the game, it is about knowing the way of nature. And to do that, one way that Zen may point is that you have to let go of yourself, your mind. Because mind's nature is to seek for whatever you want to do, and there is that you, which may prevent you to know how the game of God is being played, because you are too occupied in your mind. So you have to let go. And that's not an easy thing because we are so used to the mind. So one way I explained was that be as you are at home and just be. And if you can sense aliveness within you, it's beyond your mind, your direct experience. Another way to say it is that be a child when they are curious, exploring, just like a cat exploring things, playful. They do what they like to do. Nobody has told them what they like and how, but they came with it as if they were the angel or the way that the God had made the child alive. So before the mind starts to take over, they are just so playful. When the mind starts to creep into their system, they may be still playful, but over time, the mind has so much to do. Do this, do that. This is good, bad. Why? What's the logic? How did you fail? How did you succeed? It's good in a way so that you can grow, but if you are overburdened by the mind, you start to lose the connection to where you came from and how you may play the game of God. So be childlike is one, and the other way to see it is like artist, whether it's the painter, pottery, or poem, the haiku, creative work. The creativity is connected to the law of nature, and it's functioning every moment. If we are alive because of that. So if we can connect or understand how it's being played out, you start to know how the God is playing the game as a creative force within us. But there's a moment that you die. So it's also the game that God planned. When you accomplish a mission, that's the mind saying, you disintegrate back to nature. You are with nature all the time. as that God has planned for us to be alive, but then eternally you go back to the peace of being with nature when you die. So beginning of childhood, learning how to use brain, mind, passing by artist. It doesn't have to be artists, sportsmen, or investors, managers. Whatever the case may be, you have a way to connect to the source, the God's way, the law of nature. Then you are riding the wave of the universe, so to speak, and you find those manifested by, for example, Van Gogh, I thought about. He may be purely like a child in a way, to be occupied in what he does, and they don't care about how or whether his paintings were sold. In fact, I don't think he sold any painting while he was awake. He cut his ear, so there may be some problem psychologically, but at the heart of what he wanted to do in his life with painting, he was with the way of nature manifesting. And you can say he was playing the game of God, so to speak. So in many cases, we may get to know how the game is played when we are creative or peaceful, being with the nature. But in the society and how the mind plays game, that's another game. We lose that. One example of what experience I had this morning. I woke up in so much peace, as if this is my new birth. I didn't think in words like that. I was just feeling that everything is alive, the light going through the window and the curtain, peaceful, no noise. It's so surprising because usually my partner and friend wake up and make a little noise, and then I get starting my mind to play. But this morning was no noise. I had some thought prior to notice the light, the curtain, and stillness speaking to me. That was when I thought, or before I start to know how the game of God is being played, because I was occupied in my mind. But whatever the reason, I snapped and came from outside in, deep into myself, that this world is God's world being presented to me, and I'm one of them. So it's like a rebirth, some may call it, awakened. And there's sense of peace, and later I feel that appreciation of being alive with everything. So that's the God game, if I were to use the word, the God game. So what's the point of this video? Before that, I may just point that Eckhart Tolle's story of after his awakening the next morning, he felt everything is alive and new and peaceful, no mind clutter. So that state, you are being with the way of the God. You may not know it because it came outside of your mind, as much as in my case too. So if we learn those experiences, whether it's in the waking up moment or painting, sports, or just being appreciating the weather, whatever, you may melt into the nature the God's way. And then because you pop out of it, because of the mind, what to do next, good, bad, all of that, you may lose it, but you can go back to play the game. And that's the games, so to speak, in and out, of being and away from. There's a saying in Zen, delusion is enlightenment. Enlightenment is delusion. And the point is, you go in and out. When you notice delusion, you're noticing, therefore there's an element of awakening. Then you realize what you can be. And Satori, or awakening, is delusion because you may not stay there for long, because the mind moves and be occupied, in and out. So you may see this in and out as the God's game played out. I'm just sharing my experience. Your experience may be quite different or similar. But the point of this is to know there's much powerful or underlying law of universe prevailing. And if we can relate and play the game along with that, and then be able to use the brain or the mind at the same time, ideally, that's how we may be able to play this game. I mentioned about the stillness speaking in the morning. Not just the light and the curtain, but the furnitures, they are alive and speaking to me because they are existing, showing the reason of existence of being in that state. So play the game of God, appreciating that we can play. Maybe one of the point that I may want to convey through this video, and not to forget about it. Thank you.